Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Matt, and today I wanted to talk about how to actually learn a language faster and to get more results quicker, to get faster results, etc. And I've seen actually a lot of videos on this subject matter where people are talking about hey, how do you get faster language learning results? How do you get to fluency quicker? And in reality, there's only really two things that you can do to kind of speed up the language learning process. It really kind of comes down to your strategy and the amount of time that you invest into the language learning process itself. There are no shortcuts. No matter what you might see from a title perspective in YouTube videos or what have you, it really kind of comes down to these two factors. So obviously, if you spend more time with the language, maybe you do 2 hours instead of 1 hour, you're going to learn the language quicker. But not only that though, another thing that's really influencing your time to fluency or your just progression in general is your strategy and your method. So I think that if you're looking to increase your results with language learning, to speed up the process, the first thing to look at is how much time can you really invest in the language learning process itself. So I think that even if you don't want to just kind of really dedicate yourself completely to language learning, I think that there's probably opportunities to find time here and there to kind of increase that hour total in your language learning. So probably the biggest kind of opportunity, in my opinion, is from a listening perspective. When you're listening, it's really easy to do that when you're doing other tasks, right? When you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're just multitasking in general. So just incorporating more listening into your life with practicing language learning that way is a great way to get more time with the language. But not only that though, I think that there's kind of just small micro optimization things that you can do to get another 15 minutes here, another 30 minutes here, that's overall going to help you to reach fluency or a higher skill level quicker. The second thing, kind of once you've optimized that time component, is your method and your strategy. And I think that a lot of people, there's a lot of things that you can do to make your language learning a lot more effective. We can use better methods, we can be in a better state of mind to have more quality language learning time in general. So I think that if you're going to talk about learning a language quicker, reaching fluency quicker, probably the biggest optimization area is in terms of vocabulary acquisition, learning words, right? This is the core aspect of language learning. And so if we can be more effective in our vocabulary acquisition, if we can have better quality time, I think that that's going to do you the most, it's going to give you the most gains compared to some other area like improving our speaking or listening. Not that those aren't important, but I think that if you focus in on improving your vocabulary acquisition, you're going to progress a lot quicker. And so I think that there's so many ways we can do this. I think one thing to really ensure is that you have quality time in the vocabulary acquisition part of things, right? So in my opinion, it's way better to have 30 minutes of really quality time with the language versus an hour where we're really not focused, we're distracted, etc. So I think the first thing is just to try to ensure that you have a nice positive mindset, that you're really engaged in the process, that you are really focused in on what you're doing. You're doing all the things that you should be doing, right? Saying the words out loud, trying to quiz yourself, being very focused, having a positive mindset, being well rested, things like that, where you're going to get more out of the language learning process, or in this case, the vocabulary acquisition process. You're going to learn the words quicker or more effectively versus spending an hour just being very distracted. So I think the first thing to do is just to ensure that you have a positive mindset, kind of all these like subcategories just taken care of, right? Being very focused, doing all the things that you need to do. The second thing I would explore is just to look at your methods and ask yourself, is there a better way to learn words, right? Is there a better way to do the activity that I'm doing, right? So I think that at some point you want to transition away from flashcards or these very beginner-like methods and move into compelling and interesting activities because it's more fun, you're going to be more engaged, and in the case of reading, I think it's a very effective way to learn vocabulary, to learn grammar and context, and that could be something that could help your vocabulary progression a lot quicker than just kind of doubling down on flashcards for years on end in your language learning process. So it's going to just depend. There's so many ways to talk about how to improve your methods and your strategies with language learning. But I would just say, overall, take a look at what you're doing and ask yourself, can I learn words quicker? Can I change my strategy or method up to be more effective in terms of whatever I'm doing? So I think that kind of comes down to having more fun with whatever activity you're doing, being more engaged, but also just looking at the method itself and saying, hey, is this an effective tool? Can I make it a little bit better, 5% better, 10% better? Do I need to do something completely different? And just kind of look at it on an individual kind of situation by situation basis and go from there, right? There's just too many possibilities to kind of throw all together in one video, but I think that's the key. So when we're talking about learning a language and getting faster results, better results, it really kind of comes down to two components. It's more time with the language, which even if you don't want to just spend 7 hours in the language learning process, there's probably opportunities to get more time. And then it's looking at your strategy and trying to optimize the quality of that time that you're spending with the language. Otherwise, there's no shortcuts. So you really have to look at these two areas, the time component and your strategy and methods, in order to learn the language faster. So that's what I had to say. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.